I'm glad we in person. We can actually dive.
You already know, bro. You already know.
You already know.
We may be thinking about the scene for the wrong reasons, but continue though.
Yeah, that ain't the part of the list I was talking about. Not yet. Not yet. But it's on the list. So.
Go ahead, Los.
Do you say
Go ahead, Los.
Let's grow. What's up, y'all? We are Black Dad Unfiltered live together. I'm
in
Carlos
studio.
B. Spencer, man.
And it's your boy, Coach Rod. You know, we here changing the narrative on black fathers and perception, one show at a time. What we got on deck for today, Los?
Man, listen, we're gonna talk about. We gonna do this?
Listen, we in studio. We figured this out. Unfiltered.
What do you look for in your significant other?
Ooh.
We're gonna put. That's what I said. Are we gonna do this? What do you look for in your significant other? Black Dad Unfiltered. We don't own a filter, so we definitely gonna talk about fathers and the men and what men are looking for, right? But we're not gonna just deal with the fathers, but we are gonna be a little bit heavier on that topic.
Yo, listen, the topic's important, right? Because when you start breaking it down, because this is about black dads. Imagine being a father and you can't articulate what you want in a woman. How could you explain to your children what they should be looking for in a partner? So I'm ready to dive into this topic from multiple perspectives. Again, just the authentic conversation.
Even from there, man, talking about what you actually want in a woman. Me and a good friend of mine, we get a chance to have a lot of conversations, see him often, and we talk about how a lot of men who are actually in relationships and in marriages and are not happy.
Okay.
And I think that they're in that space because they did not know what they wanted, or they didn't put out what they wanted before they actually got into the relationship.
Okay.
So now some years have gone on down the road, and this friend of mine I've been talking to is very early in the marriage. And some things that he's leaned on me before, before going through divorce, had 20 plus years in marriage, and he's asked me some questions like that. Some things, some specifics. So not only in the lane of what you look for, but also how do you start this thing out? How
listen,
you lay these
cut
tracks?
to the chase. Because before we recorded, you pulled out a list. Let's cut to the chase. Oh, this my friend. This my nah, homie. We gonna start.
We gonna list up.
I need to know because you had it on your phone.
Yes, I did. I did. When you said,
"Yo," I said, "What do we want?" My man pulls out his phone. Oh, let me get to the list. Before I finish my second sentence, my list is out. So my phone's just here to look good. So let's go.
My phone here, it's entitled Women's List, right? So this is actually.
I want to hear this. Let's go. What's on this list? So these are some
things you're actually looking for, man.
That you're looking for.
That I'm looking for.
Okay, let's go.
So it may not be your list. And what I've learned with lists, which is really good, you don't have to take everything off somebody else's list.
Got you.
Like I've gone to conferences, I have different mentors, and I'll see 10 things that are on their list for success, for whatever they are. And I can pull some things from that list to develop my own. Okay. So while we're sharing this list too, don't feel like, okay, I got to use that list verbatim, but you can pull some things off of it, but he gonna say I'm beating around the bush and not getting to the list.
I'm not saying anything. You said it. I just put it in your mind.
No, I'm gonna go to the list. So for me, I'm go from top to bottom, and I actually wrote it in this specific order.
So you said top to bottom, like this is the most important?
This is the most important.
Okay, let's go. Let's hit this list.
First thing is God's presence, right? The first thing for me is a woman that's gonna be in God's presence.
What does that mean, Los?
So that, for me, that's more than just religion, right? You going to church just to check a box.
Okay.
Somebody who just religiously has a relationship where it's like, not even a relationship, this is just something I do, something my family did. You call yourself a Christian, you call yourself saved, you call yourself a believer, but it's not a lifestyle. Okay. This is just like something that you say that you are, looks good on the resume. Per se. So when I say God's presence, to me, it's a real relationship. Like you have to know God for yourself. Have a relationship with God for yourself. Okay. And it is the thing that guides your life. Okay. So when I'm looking for that, I'm looking for a woman who has spent time and is spending time in God's presence. Okay. So boom. Because we don't have any women on this show, not yet, right? Because we really want to get into the brothers. Yeah. If I was to picture a woman talking to me, what does that look? Why is that important? What impact does it? What value does that bring to your life as a man, and even to our brothers, right? Who are thinking, why is his first thing concerned about her relationship with another man? Right? If we put it that way, like why? So why is that like?
number one for you?
So, and that's a good question. For me,
all I do is ask good questions, but I appreciate the edification. You know what I mean? Or the affirmation. You know what I mean? But let's go.
So for me, it's so if my car is out of line, right, and I'm gonna go somewhere with this, and I need to go get my car aligned.
Sure.
So in order for me to get an alignment on my vehicle, it needs to be put on a machine. That shows it that it's out of line. This machine needs to be straight. Old folks will say you can't measure a crooked stick with a crooked stick. Actually,
right,
your grandfather. That's actually your grandfather saying right there too. I know we coming out the box with him.
What is this? 2-3 minutes in? Golly! All right, man. Because they always go over my head. Say it again. What's the quote?
My grandfather would say you can't measure a crooked stick with a crooked stick.
Holy shoot! Can't measure a crooked stick
with a crooked stick. Because you never know the stick is crooked. Because what you're measuring it with is crooked. So, all right. So I'm glad we're here.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
You know, we come out the box with them.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So with the car being out of a line, I don't know. Like sometimes you know if you drive your car out of line, but sometimes you don't know it's out of alignment until you put it on a machine that shows you the machine is straight. It's adjusted to be straight.
Sure.
It's showing me your car's out of line because this is straight.
Gotcha.
So when I say God's presence, it's important for the woman with me, for her life, and for my life. Because sooner or later, I'm going to be wrong to me. Sooner or later, you're going to be wrong to you. And what is that thing that's going to constantly bring you back to show you this is?
So I see what you're saying. So basically, you're saying if my partner has this relationship, there is a compass, there's something objective that's always self-balancing us as individuals and also balancing us. So that pursuit of that relationship, especially on a spiritual sense, is almost edifying your body and bringing in more positivity than negativity.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
And outside of yourself. It's got to be something outside of yourself because, like I said, I have this saying, I'm always right to me. Carlos, you want to do this? Let's do it. I'm always right to me, but I need something outside of me that's going to show me if I'm wrong.
I have a hard time grasping what being wrong means, but I'm sure.
It's all good.
I'm sure
I see you on the football field. You know, wide receiver DB. I do understand you never seen something wrong because you never saw a wrong route.
You can't measure a wrong route to wrong route, right? So if you always have perfect routes, how I know?
How do you know if the route's always perfect?
All right, so let's get to number 2 on your list, man.
Okay, so number 2.
We're gonna come back to that, but I like this. So far, number 1 is something that kind of grounds her. Outside of her.
Outside of her.
My voice may not reach you.
So my voice would. I won't say here belabor the point, but God's presence, and I'm a believer, so in Christ, so that it has to be that. So it's not just overall. For me, my list is not just somebody in God, specifically a believer in Christ.
Someone who's accepted Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior.
That's what I'm looking for. But I'm looking for somebody that it's a part of their lifestyle. And so I want to make this clear, though, not just for her life, but even for mine. So one, if she sees me doing the right things, that she can follow me and support me. But if she sees me out of line, hey, no, that's not what we're doing.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? It's a guide for her and for me. So that's number 1. Number 1.
Number 2,
supportive and encouraging. Like I gotta have somebody who's going to be supportive and somebody who is willing to be encouraging for me.
So again, I'm gonna keep posing the questions, right? Because this is healthy.
It's good.
Because I reflect, and the one thing I do know is that I don't know. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
It does make sense,
right? So I'm always thinking, okay, if I want this, how does this show up? How can a woman show this to me? Because the questions I always hear are, well, what does that look like to you? So when you say supportive and encouraging, give me an idea of what that looks like.
Yeah. So for me, that's someone who is gonna have my back. I'm gonna go into the scene from this movie 300. You remember the movie 300?
Yeah. Are we gonna go to the bedroom scene?
Listen, I'm glad we're in person. We can actually.
You already know, bro. You already know.
You already know.
We may be thinking about the scene for the wrong reasons, but continue though.
Yeah, that ain't the part of the list I was talking about. Not yet. Not yet. What's up? We are Black Dad Unfiltered. We are here to change the narrative through authentic conversation for Black men, and particularly Black fathers. We thank you for joining us here on this episode. Please like the channel, subscribe to the channel, send a comment to the channel. Let us know the information that you like. Let us know what's speaking towards you. We'll be sure to stay in touch with you as well. Thank you. What is on the list? So,
go ahead. Go ahead, Los.
You said
Go ahead, Los.
I wasn't gonna frame it like that. But if you ever seen King Unitas in the movie 300, he's in the bedroom and he's in the bedroom with his wife, and the king is troubled, and he has the weight of this throne on his shoulder. You can see it, and his woman sees it, and she says, "What troubles you, my king?" First of all, I can't spend too much time there, but she ain't say what troubles my husband, what troubles my man. She said, "What troubles you, my king?" That's a whole nother lesson. I wish I could go down that road. I can't chase it.
Man, listen.
But
we got, before you finish, remember we just heard that quote from Dawn, right?
What
is it that women have the power to see the fool of the king and the man?
They can speak to either one of them.
Speak to the king.
Speak to the king.
Even when the king's acting like a fool.
Man, you better talk to me nice.
So I rock with that one. I see
what you did there. I see what you did there.
Yeah, I'm not giving up. Quote for quote. It's a freestyle. I'm Eminem.
Let's go. So, man, she says, "What troubles you, my king?" And he was troubled, and he brought what was troubling him to her. So in that scene, she could have downed him. She could have been like, you better than that. She could have been like, why is this bothering you?
Sure.
She could have been like you're stronger than that. Like you should be over this. Any kind of way she could have. But the way she went at it was she supported him in this space where he's being vulnerable. We talked about that in one of our episodes.
Yeah, of course.
He was being vulnerable, and he knew that he could bring this vulnerability to his wife, to his woman. She supported him in that moment. She asked him questions. She said, something in the space of, what do you think you should do, right? And then when he told her what he should do, she said, okay, that's a good idea. Well, why not try it this way? Why not try it that way? She supported him in his decision, and she helped to encourage him because after he finished having the conversation with her, he knew what to do. He was sure of himself.
Sure, but I'm still confused though.
Okay,
everything you said sounded great, but I'm thinking I still don't know what that means because I got mixed messages. So one thing I got was support comes in the form of giving me a space to be vulnerable, right? But I still don't know what the encouragement means. So when I hear you talk, it's one, recognizing me as a human being, recognizing me in a position of what I mean to you, creating a space that allows me to not always have to be on. Now, that's what I'm hearing when I'm hearing how you're defining support. Because again, the reality of it is what I've learned is we want to be very specific when we start detailing this. But I do get what you're saying. It's having that woman that her support is she can see the pain. She can see when I'm not all right, even when I don't know, even when I don't have the strength to tell you and ask. She can see it. And support for you is more on an emotional level, and we're not necessarily talking about support by you committing 15 hours into something that I'm doing. It's really looking at me and supporting me emotionally.
That's what's important for me.
Okay, so that emotional.
The other parts can be there, but that is more important, especially when we're talking about the list of importance. So that, and also the encouraging. I've said this a lot of times.
Take my notes. So the phone's coming in handy. So I gotta take these notes, right? Go ahead.
So the encouraging part too, and so for anybody's watching, if a woman's watching here, and most men agree when they've heard me say this out in the open or before audience, supportive. So if a man, if he comes and he's juggling one ball, right? Just figuratively, right? And your woman says, "Babe, you doing a good job."
Man, don't
do that.
Yeah, just talk it out, bro.
Pause.
Yeah, no, I'm not just talk it out though, because you out here like just talk it out. I'm helping you. This is going on air, man.
I appreciate it.
Go ahead.
So you doing that, right? And your wife said, "Baby, you doing a good job." That man's gonna go do. He gonna now come and do too, and he gonna come again and show you.
Okay.
And she gonna say, "Baby, you doing a good job." And then he's going to come and do even more. One of the easiest ways you can put it is the way that women show up for their sons. Now, you ain't got to baby him and be his mother. But that same space, show up the way you support your son. Show up and support your husband like that. Because mothers with their sons, your son don't have to do nothing. Your son can be wrong. Your son could be a terror in the school. You're going to show up for your baby.
Okay.
You will always support your child because this is my child. Even though I may not agree with the behavior of my child, I'm still going to be there for my child.
All right. So I'm playing therapist, right?
Yeah.
So I'm Dr. Coach today. All right. And so I'm glad I got these on. So let me put it up on my nose a little bit so I can look real smart, right? Because again, I'm gonna push back.
Yes.
So you said support and encouragement, and by challenging it a little bit, we realize it's that emotional support, giving me that space to actually feel and you being there with me. Mm-hmm. When you just said encouragement, what I walked away with was speaking words into my life, that words of affirmation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's where the encouragement comes in. Mm-hmm. Speaking to me as if I am the king. Mm-hmm. Now, if I was objectively listening and someone said, the way a mother loves her son, I get it, because it's unconditional is what you're really referring to. It's that level of unconditional. So because we got women listening, because this show is called Black Dad, but as I've always said, you can't be a black dad until you're a black son. Yeah. Right? And then that means you're a black man at some point. And then eventually you become a black father. So there's always going to be someone listening. And the truth is, you could take the word black out when we talk about fathers in general. So if I was to have someone listening and a woman was listening, I would want her to know it's one, speak to that king. The words of affirmation, encourage me. Because I do need to hear it. The same way you're going to your point, look at your son, recognize what's wrong, but speak to what could be good, is what we're really talking about. Yeah. And then see my humanity in the process. I'm rocking with you so far, Los. I'm taking notes because I want to unpack it.
Yes, sir.
Because ultimately, what we say and what it means don't always align. This is why, if our listeners are listening, I'm going at Los a little bit because I want to unpack it and define it so that when we walk away, we really know what we want and can speak to it. The more you can speak to it, the more you own it, right? They always say, you don't know something until you can explain it, right? Yeah. So, like, if I teach you math and I say, okay, yeah, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, why? Well, you know, because if you did it the other way, no, I don't know, right? So I gotta explain, that whole Pythagorean theorem. Right. So what's next on your list, Los?
On my list next is healthy working out and eating.
Okay.
That's right in your face, yeah.
You said that's right. So basically, you gotta be bad. I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? And I ain't asking you to do something I ain't doing myself.
Okay.
And at the same time, I'm not asking you to be a model on the front of a magazine. But so I'm a little bit older now. So it's not even just about the working out and eating. If I'm going to invest into a woman, I need you to invest in yourself like we both gonna be around here.
Sure.
And I need you to play a role in that. Now, we all know something could happen to anybody, but I need you to be invested into your own life to say, let me live a healthier lifestyle to do what I can do. That it's in my hands. Whatever power I have to be able to live healthy. So if you gotta be healthy, gotta be eating right.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about that one because of course, for me, if I'm being very blunt, I want you to look good. Just period. However, what I've come to understand when I say the healthy lifestyle, you touched on it, is I want you here for a long time. Right. But actually, for me, when I talk about I want you to be healthy, I believe in my heart your mental and emotional thinking, your emotional health, your mental health is tied to your eating habits. So if I know someone is morbidly obese, there's probably a lack of discipline somewhere involved in here. There may be some level of emotional eating somewhere involved in that, as I've been guilty of that. And so when I tell someone I want you to be healthy, it's because I know if you're healthy and exercising, chances are it's going to be tied to a healthy mind.
Chances are. I'm going to push back a little bit.
Chances are.
Some people who I've seen who are taking care of their mental space, they're not in shape, not healthy, because it's a discipline. So for me, and I'm not saying it's everybody's list, right? For me, I agree with what you're saying. Sure. I think it's the whole person. Because I train. I'm a trainer as well. Yeah. The reason why I say sometimes because I train, and there are some people who I train who physically they're fit, but mentally it ain't there.
Oh yeah. So that might be something else on your list, right? Right. But for me, I know when I talk about the health, I just want to make sure, to your point, I'm looking at your choices. Because, before when I was brolic, because there was a time I was brolic, you know what I mean? And it'll happen again to our listeners. I know those who are dying to see it. I appreciate it. But I just started realizing it's symbolic of something for me. Yeah. But let's go what else on your list, because I love what I'm hearing so far, and I'm pushing back. Yeah. Because you notice everything that you say is external. I'm looking for the internal reason for it. Go ahead, let's keep going on.
Now you say it's external, but it's coming from an internal place. Trust me.
I know it is.
Gotcha.
But the thing is this. if someone's listening, they don't know
They
that.
might be listening from the
right. So
part, yeah.
again, when we talk about why is it so important to be healthy, why is it important that my partner has a healthy life? Because I want you for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Is I'm attaching your eating into your commitment to do the best you can for us.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead, continue.
I think I'm gonna say this. So you guys say amen, say ouch. But we Unfiltered. We're on one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we live in the studio.
Yeah.
So I can't back up from anything.
You can, but you're gonna fall over. So might as well move forward.
I
Let's
ain't about
go.
to fall over. When you walk into a room, it says something. When you see somebody else, I'll start off with men.
Okay.
If I see a fit man walk into a room with a suit on, it says something. There is some discipline in there. There's some type of mentality with that man.
Continue.
You telling people where to go? Direction? This way? That way?
What you're looking for is right here.
Right here.
Go ahead, continue.
So it says something. I remember seeing somebody's conference, and the guy on stage, it was over 1,000 people in the audience, and he said, if you work out 3 to 4 times a week, stand up. And all the people stood up. And he said, everybody else in the room, I want you to look at them. He said, they don't need to tell you that they work out 3 to 4 times a week. You can see that the people are standing up, that this is a part of their lifestyle. It says something about you. And I'm past that age, I was brolic in college too, 180 all day.
Yeah, no, you were definitely strong and bigger than me. 2%, yeah. We were in that range where, like, if it took the average of us, maybe somewhere around 15%, that's still good numbers. That's still some good numbers. But go ahead.
So I ain't in that type of shit, but I'm in good shape. And so I do believe it says something about you. And in this stage of life, for me, it doesn't say to me that, oh, you're a bodybuilder. It says to me that
you care.
There's some discipline.
Yeah.
You do care.
Yeah.
There's something to you that wants to move in a healthier way. And I believe in energy. So I ain't gonna belabor that point, but
all right, what's next?
You come in a room like that, says something, and for women,
yeah, I get you. I'm gonna go through my list.
It says what it says.
It says what it says.
The next one is purpose. Next one is I'm looking for a woman, and this one I was careful on because there are two sides of it, and Miles Monroe says something I may bring it in. Yeah. I'm looking for somebody who knows their purpose or is trying to find out what that purpose is. Because everybody is not in the space where they know exactly what they want to do, what they're called to do, what they're put on this earth to do. And I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. But I definitely, for me, I'm looking for somebody, if they don't know what it is, they are trying to find out what that is. So when I say that, and I know you probably asked some questions to go a little deeper, what am I placed on this earth to do?
Sure.
Right? Like, there's something I'm supposed to do here that's more than just working and just living and existing. There's something I'm supposed to do on this earth. Mm-hmm. Some people's purpose may be something grand. Some people's purpose may not be as grand to the world. But you're here for something. Mm-hmm. I believe that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not mad at that purpose. Because I'm seeing a pattern here. Is that the entire list?
No. I'm almost done.
Almost done?
Yeah,
I'm looking at your phone, Lo, so it don't look like you just started.
The other stuff, I won't talk about that stuff. It gets a little bit more detailed. No, it didn't just start.
Go ahead, preacher man.
It didn't just start. I'll say something that you just said. Go ahead, preacher
man.
No,
I'm just saying.
Something that you just said was
unusual.
Something you just said is real important.
What's up?
That's a clue. When I worked with the state police, the BCI would say that's a clue. You need to have a list. That's a clue. If you don't have a list, how do you know when you run into somebody that you're actually looking for if you don't got a list? If you don't got a list, it could be 2 things on the list. But how do you know this is what I'm looking for? If you have nothing to compare it with.
I gotta put a list together tonight.
Yeah, something like that.
Stuff is in my head, but okay, I'm with you though. I get it. I get it.
I can go look.
Let's hit 2 more from this.
Two more? Just
just 2 more.
All right. Next one is
before people start calling you picky. You know
no, see, you know what? I like it. All right.
Go
Next
ahead.
one's gonna sound a little similar to the earlier one, but no, this one's God's word. And I put a little bit of definition after this one. Knowing it and uses it to build with her hands. Yeah.
Okay. So if I got that, it's not that you just say you have a relationship. You live this. It's the word of God is living in you. And through the works of your hands, it's present.
It's present.
Without getting too spiritual, you're basically saying, I should be able to tell by the way you live, move, everything, even what you do and invest your time into, I should be able to see God's presence in all of that.
It is. One of my mentors said
Your
this.
eyes started lighting up. Was I nailing it?
You nailed it. I'm going to drop something down.
Okay.
This wasn't necessarily grandfather saying, but this is a good one. It said, preach the gospel, and when often and necessary, use words. Preach the gospel, and when necessary, use words.
Wow, that's deep. So basically, your life is preaching, and when you have to,
use words when necessary.
Man,
Now that means, like I said, you're living it. It's a part of your life. Like it's a guiding principle. So yeah, God's presence. That's one in the beginning. So this one, if somebody's like, well, what's the difference? God's presence. Somebody who's spending some time with God. His word means that, okay, I'm actually taking the time to learn what it says.
It's powerful, though. It is powerful. Okay. So, biggest thing, because you got this list.
Yeah.
Was this list the same list you had 10 years ago?
No. I'm not going to answer that before you almost even finish.
Right? Because I've known you for a while.
Yeah.
I knew you back going almost 30 years, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere between there. And I've seen, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, this list sounds so...
You got me in college, track runner, 5'7", 36, 24. Okay, I mean, that was about the list.
Oh, sure. I thought you were that was women. You wanted a woman that was 5'7"?
No, I said about 5'4".
Oh, I thought you said 5. I was like, God darn it.
Did I say 5'7"? I meant 5'4".
Either way, you're trying to climb some trees, which is fine by me. I ain't mad at it, right? Hey, listen, black dad.
That was a college.
Only one way you becoming a dad. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to.
Is anybody looking? I'm gonna get you up for that.
You know what I'm saying? Only one way you get to.
I was saying in college. That was college.
But
that was
the reason why I say that is, what, and as concise as we can be, what has gone into your life to shape this list? And do you think if you had this list at the onset that it would have changed the trajectory of your last relationship or whatever relationship? You know what I'm saying? Not critiquing your marriage, but you know, the reality of it is when I was 18, if you asked me what my list was, if I was 16, you know, short, round face, round everything. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way I can say it.
I catch what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
You know what I mean? Shoot. Don't get me started. This is a wholesome show, man. But talk to me. Like, what has chiseled this list to say, okay, this is my 10 commandments?
Yeah, I'm going right to that, but something you said a little bit right before
round
that.
Everything?
Not around everything, you know. But you were like, why would your list have changed? You know, would it if it was different before, or kind of why it wasn't the list this before? Black Dad Unfiltered. I'm talking about being a black dad because I didn't have a black father in my life to be able to even instruct me and tell me, son, this is a list. Like we talked to Dawn. What did she say? Your frontal lobe isn't even fully developed till what, age 25?
25.
So before age 25, I got married before I was 25. So I wouldn't even had the right mindset to even design this type of list. So I wish I had a father in my life
who could have helped you,
who could have helped me to understand that, son, these are some of the things you may want to add to your list.
You know what's interesting? So my son, when he was younger, like 14, 15, and went to a new school and the girls started liking him, I said, she does not like you, son. She's enamored by you, right? I said, because for her to like you, she would have to know your culture. She would have to know your likes, your dislikes. She would have to know some of your struggles. She likes what she sees.
He has no idea about that at that age.
Right? And so when you said that, it was me kind of coaching him into, she first has to learn what comprises you. Then we can start talking about actual liking. Until then, it's just someone that likes what they see. You know what I mean? And it helps that you look like me. You know what I'm saying? Because when you got these looks, you can't be beat. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's a grandfather quote right there. You know what I'm saying? But you get what I'm saying?
You got these looks, it's hard. You can't be beat.
You can't be beat. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? Repeat! You know what I'm saying? No, but in all seriousness.
Yeah.
So, again, one of the reasons why I want to do this show is because there's a maturation to us as men. Remember, we start off young. And going back, I don't know if I actually told people what I was looking for. I think I did, right? Was round face, because I was enamored with round faces. And I realized the reason why I loved round faces was growing up, my one aunt who just loved me no matter how messed up I was.
Look at that.
Short, round face. So that was like my image of
Johnson.
comfort and sweetness and gentleness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but then when I got older, it became easier for me to tell you what I did not want. Right? And so maybe this is logical for everyone. And I'm always listening when someone tells me their list or what they're looking for. How much of it is really external?
Yeah.
How much of it is, like your list was a lot of building concepts. Your list was, do you have a purpose for your life? Do you know how to support a king? Do you know how to speak to a king? You know what I mean? Do you have a relationship with something greater than you that has already taught you faith and seeing what can't be seen physically yet, seeing into it. So a lot of it was, when I listened to it, was, you know, that type of woman you were looking for. My list is completely different. My list, number one on my list is your emotional intelligence. Number one, like, how well do you know yourself? Because my list is shaped by my experiences, right? Yes, I want you to have a banging body, but before you can have a banging body, I just want you to have a healthy emotional state of mind. And as I
but
got...
that ain't on there?
What?
The body.
No.
It's not on the list at all?
My body's not listed all for me. The healthy lifestyle is, because I just want to make sure that we're feeding ourselves not just spiritually, because you do have to have a hunger and a desire for truth. And in our world, there's Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the light. You know what I mean? Only one way, but to the Father, but through the Son. You get what I'm saying? But I want at least to know that you're seeking a truth to this world, because I need to know that we can have a codified or a unified moral compass, something objective that tells us this is right and wrong, because there is a right and wrong.
What's something important after that?
In terms of the emotional intelligence?
No, just after that one. What's something else that would be important to you that would be on the list?
So emotional intelligence is really a big part of my list. The next part of my list is strong communication skills.
Gotcha.
Right? So everything on my list you're going to start to see is tied to our ability to have a healthy relationship. Right? When it gets hard, can we talk? When it gets hard, can you separate yourself from the topic? Right? And we can engage in this and create something. Go ahead.
You say strong communication skills, because like I said, we want to dig a little bit deeper.
Sure.
When you say strong communication skills, is that somebody who they have a high intellect, like an intelligent woman, or somebody that can actually hold a conversation? So when you say communication skills, what do you mean about the communication skills?
So, you know, I always talk business, but let's get into some level of just some basic things about people. I don't know the numbers exactly, but I believe the human ear can hear about, I don't know, 140 words. We can Google it. But the human ear, let's say the human ear can hear 1,000 words. The mouth can only speak 100 words a minute, right? So what does that tell you? Your ear has capacity, well, your words only have a limited. So what happens when I throw something into this unlimited capacity, so to speak? It can get lost. First step of communication is you have to intentionally listen. So you have to actually be engaged and some intentionality in the listening.
So with the communication, listening is an important part of that.
Listening is, so just so you know, scientifically, the words you say are only 7% of communication. I don't know if people realize that. So when we say that is the actual words, right? If the words were "you're stupid," that's only 7% of communication. Let's use an example. Los, man, you stupid boy. Does that have the same meaning as you're stupid?
No, not at all.
This is what we're talking. So do we have this concept of how to intentionally listen, how to intentionally receive? So this is all part of communication. Your intellect, you don't have to be a PhD, but it's hard to have strong communication skills when you don't have a certain level of self-awareness. And statistically speaking, depending on where you are, it's going to be hard to build some of these skills, especially when you're in survival mode. So strong communication skills, the ability for us to, what I would say is, and I've said this before, fail fast, which means if I ever get to a point where I feel I can't say something to you, then that tells me I can't be in a relationship. So I have to be willing to force myself to say it, and I want the same thing for my partner. Because for me, my partner is my vacation. What I've learned is, I've said this before, if I can talk with you, if we can have this level of engagement, conversation, because this is what builds. Because remember, on a spiritual level, the most powerful asset we have in our arsenal against society, against the powers that be, are words. So I need to know that we can use this one tool to speak to each other and see each other's pain and see past the surface.
And I'll say to that point, it's very good, by the way. So I'm not poking at it because it's not good. To that same point, I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. When you get to a relationship with somebody, like, that's really what's going to last. Like, the other stuff is good. Other stuff is like icing on the cake. But we're going to spend more time talking to each other than anything else when we're in this relationship.
At least in the later years.
I thought that was on the list.
No, it's not on the list.
I'm just saying.
But come on, son.
I'm just you got to make it plain to the people like you told me.
Yo, listen, man. Come on.
There's still
son.
some other things that are important.
So funny enough, we could talk about sex down the line too.
I see. Yeah.
Sex is not as important to me anymore.
Oh, I'm older now. It's
not.
That's
like
not.
Listen, ain't nothing better than when I'm having a hard day, and I know, man, listen, I'm about to dial this number. Hey, babe, and all of a sudden that day is done.
Did you ever see T.D. Jakes when he talked about his wife when they were T.D. Jakes? So when
you
they
gotta
were
be
younger,
careful because you know T.D. Jakes is like has an ex-wife and a second wife.
Well, I'm talking about his current wife.
His current one. So let's talk about that one. Because you know somebody out there, I know a few people in my own circle like T.D. Jakes divorced. Why you talking? But let's go.
Listen, he said something that was real powerful. We're talking about so like you said, I'm older now. Sex isn't as important.
Sure.
That's real.
Yeah.
He was like, when I was young, you wanted to have sex all the time. And my wife was just like, so how come you can't just hold me sometime? He said, then they got older. And his wife wanted to have sex all the time. And he was like, how come you can't just hold me? It switch up. It starts to switch up.
You're about to have to come off this seat. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm saying,
it's like I'm living that right now.
I understand what you're saying, man, that once you do get a little bit older, especially as a man, like that Unfiltered, there's some other things that are way more important to you. Peace is one of them. I ain't gonna go down that road. That's was on my list too. But men look for peace. I spoke at this service, and I'm not gonna say it, but I said at the beginning of, should I go there? This is if I go there.
Go ahead, let's go.
This is one that
you ain't gonna listen to me, man. Just go, man.
Just go.
Just do it.
So people don't learn. By people, I mean women specifically. They don't learn from Delilah.
Don't look at me. Look at the camera.
Because
man.
I'm just saying.
This is you saying it, not me saying it.
Listen.
They don't learn by what? Delilah.
They don't learn from Delilah.
You talking about Samson and Delilah?
Yeah. So those of you who don't know the story, Samson and Delilah deceived Samson. And that's what she's known for in the Bible, deceiving him, getting him to say something, and we won't go down that road of what happened, but she deceived him. That's what she's known for, and the mass majority of people hear that.
Yes.
But they missed the other part.
What's the other part?
The other part is Samson laid in her lap, and I'm going to tell the story fictitiously. So this isn't how the story went, but I'm going to tell it this way just so you understand what I'm saying. Okay. So let's just say Samson is with Delilah, and she's like, where's your strength come from? And he said, if you tap me on my shoulder 2 times and you shake my hand, I lose my strength. And then all of a sudden, tomorrow, somebody tap you on the shoulder 2 times and shake your hand, and you ain't told that to nobody else, then who you think told the person? Delilah. So that story that I'm telling that happened. He told it to her. She went and said it. She came back to him.
Yeah, from jump she was trying to set him up.
But watch this. Yeah. I love it. She came back to him and said, you lied to me. You ain't tell me the truth. And then he told her the actual truth. You know why? Because she gave him a peaceful place to lay his head.
You done did it. No, I'm not leaving this table. I'm not leaving this table.
She gave him a peaceful place to lay his head. And so a lot of people and a lot of women miss the power of your bosom and the peace that it brings to a man. This man knew she was out to get him, yet he still gave her the information.
Because she gave him a place to lay his head.
Gave him a peaceful place to lay his head. I said that in front of a place that I can tell you the number of men who came back to me and said, man, when you said that.
I'm saying that right now.
Man.
How many women came to you though?
None.
So it's interesting. Because one of the things I love that we do, and I want to make sure everyone's clear.
Yeah.
On Black Dad Unfiltered, we will never talk negatively about women. It's not about what she does or doesn't do. It's about who we are and what we need.
And
how do we create this environment where we can speak about the
it.
things that impact us and hopefully create a greater conversation.
In that space, and don't forget your point you was going to make.
Sure.
I have to say, in that space, I know men who have that peaceful place in their woman. I know men. So that goes to the point that you're making, and one of the main points of this show. I know men who have that peaceful place in their wife, in their woman, and it's next to nothing. They I'll tell you, when he passed away, but man, God bless him, I love him. He would say this, and just like that, you stupid. Yeah. You get a chance to know what I'm saying with me. He said, man, I'll kill a brick for that woman. Look, you know what that means.
Yeah.
You know what that means.
It's impossible. I feel that.
He said, I'll kill a brick for that woman. And that, to me, said, that's his place.
And that's why
that's his place.
I told you the physical doesn't mean as much to me as the place where I can lay my head.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? This is why when I talked to you before, I always say, you don't become the best version of yourself until you have that woman that gives you a peaceful, resting place. So remember we talked with the clinical therapist, psychologist, right?
Yeah.
And she talked about that. Men, especially when it comes to trauma, because we're always in survival mode, we never have a place to sit still, let the trauma come to the forefront and recognize it, heal, and grow, right? And we talked about the key to getting stronger is pushing your muscles to a certain place, but also having rest.
Yeah.
And then in this dynamic, which is why my list kept evolving, my list eventually came to a place where it was, with this, I will not have a resting place.
So let me ask you, one of the questions that you was leaning on me for, because you right in the space of it now. Why, I don't even need to ask you, did it change? Well, yeah, you did say, you said round face and some other round things.
Yeah.
Why did the list evolve now? Why has the list changed now?
So mine is different than yours, because all my pain got addressed as I got older.
Wait, you can't skip past that.
All my pain was getting addressed as I got older. My initial list was based on pain.
My pain
was getting addressed as I was getting
older.
Exactly. So remember, I told you, the one aunt, she represented safety.
Yeah.
So what was I craving? Did I really care about does a round face make me any better as a man?
No.
It does not.
As long as it comes with safety.
But that representation of safety, so that's why I felt like I will find comfort.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? When I did get married, and anybody who knows me knows this reason, because I'm big on words from young, was, wow, this relationship, I can be vulnerable, because my whole life has always been guarded.
Yes.
Because I'm always looking at wherever I'm at, not next thing, wherever I'm at, and saying, where is it coming from?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Where is it coming from? So
that's tough.
When I got to UB, we played football.
That's true.
Because I started before you.
Yeah.
My first semester, I got into a fight with a teammate. Because whatever girl I was dating, he was trying to, do his whoop-de-whoop. So for me, it was like, I'm always on guard. I always got to be prepared that if you come out your mouth, furniture is going to move right away. Yeah. This is how we're conditioned, especially in urban environments. So just having someone that I can finally not have to be on this ready to,
after you were able to heal through some things,
right? So vulnerability,
your list to change.
So exactly. So when I saw that, I was like, being able to be vulnerable,
it's important.
Was important to me.
Yeah.
So when that void got filled, the next level of void started coming to the surface. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And then after a while, I started knowing what I did not want, because without being able to articulate it. I know now what I didn't want was anything that compromised my peace, right? So if you weren't emotionally intelligent, if you were too loud, you know what I mean? If you had a violent streak, if you were so involved with, I don't want to say secular world, but if keeping up with the Joneses was important to you, all these things I knew were going to have a negative impact on my mental health and my peace. Now that I'm older, because I realize if I got into a relationship, I can't tell you what I don't want. I got to be able to look at you and tell you what I do want.
Exactly.
Be able to tell you how I want it to show up in the relationship, how it makes me feel. So I started focusing real deeply on if I had to tell a woman what I want and how it shows up, this is what it is now.
Yeah.
And because I'm no longer romanticizing, because we do that as men, man, this could be the one. I was more so concretely, can I have a difficult conversation with you? So the sooner we can have a difficult conversation, the sooner I know what kind of communication skills you have. The sooner I know how emotionally intelligent you are. And then, because when you talk to me and we start talking about who we are as people, I cannot separate myself from Jesus Christ. So now we're going to see, how do you deal with me? Because I'm always going to talk from a spiritual perspective. I'm always going to talk about, hey, listen, what you're saying to me is not what you're feeling in this moment. It's the sum of all these different feelings, anxieties. Can we get to this? And this is what I realize in a lot of relationships, women are defensive. And I'm not saying women as a whole, the women I've encountered, through no fault of their own, because just as much as I can say being a black man is hard, being a black woman is hard, being a brown woman, being a woman of color, indigenous, these things are difficult. Every day you walk around, especially if you are detached from your homeland. So, you know,
I'll say this, man. We got to go ahead and close this. Somebody's thinking this. That's why I got to say it.
Okay.
And I got to say it in this Black Dad Unfiltered space. And if anything else you want to share before we close out,
man, we ain't closing, man. I'm going to keep going, but go ahead.
Listen, okay.
Continue.
We're going to do what we're going to do. You know, last time you told me it's our show. We can do what we want. So, I know a lot of people say this, and it's powerful. And, and I do agree with it. But I got to say it in this space. A lot of people will say, okay, you put the list together, and then you become the type of person that can get the woman on that list. That's good. And I think that has its place.
I think I like where you're going with this.
Right. So people do say, yo, okay, you got your list. All right, now, what kind of man you got to be to get a woman on that list? And I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? But I have to say, in the space of men and men watching, because we encounter this way too much. When we get a chance to talk about what we want, we get a chance to communicate about what we want, it usually gets turned. But what does that look like? You in a relationship with somebody and, hey, I don't like when you always, send it to cut me off in the conversation. Well, you always cut me off too. Like when we get a chance to actually say something. So where you going?
What you doing in church? I don't know. There's some form of dance we got to do, right? Ain't nothing make me angry when I hear that. You was coming, but you always do it too. All right, but we talking about right now.
We talking about my thing. So I gotta bring that up because I know somebody watching, somebody seeing this saying, yeah, that's all good, but you gonna become. That's fine, but men get that way too much.
You don't get this. Listen, every time I start to even say. Never fails. I get to 2 things on the list. You picky. Golly. Just tell me you don't want me to have standards and you want a prize. Like, come on, stop this.
Just leave it there. So I gotta say that I'm all for becoming the person, but I'm all for men having a safe space to be able to say what they want and express what they need.
So listen, let's stay on that, right? This is why I said communication is big for me. Because if I can't tell it to you, that's already tells me we ain't rocking. There are women out there, trust me, and this is not about women and their responsibility. There is somebody out there. Let's just believe that. So now I'm comfortable saying my list. Because if you open your mouth and say, okay, you asking for a lot, you're right. You could be right and I could be right. Yes. I'm asking for a lot from you.
Yes.
No problem. Have a good day. That's it. But I will say listen.
Man, ESPN, what's the analysis? I can't forget the guy's name right now. It's gonna come up to me. Stephen A. Smith. He said, you even think about you don't want to have nothing to do. I'm done. So like you said, you could be too much for you.
But now I say this because I do believe as a man, and this is what I want to speak to. We got to get to this point. And again, I'm always going to say the same things over and over. We got to get to a point where, one, we are emotionally aware, reflective, and intelligent. Again, I'm going to repeat that. As men, we got to get to a point where we're emotionally aware, understand what we're feeling when we're feeling it, right? Emotionally intelligent, right? And I forgot the third one I just said. But we got to get to that point because most men, we do the same thing. She's asking for too much. She can ask for what she wants for. Because she wants this. Don't internalize it. So as men, we got to get to a point where we're comfortable, we're confident, we own what we want because we know our value in it. You get what I'm saying? So this is why I sit there and say, as a man, do the work yourself as well. I feel comfortable that I can have my list, because I've done so much work on me first that I know what I can come to, and two, more importantly, I am comfortable in you telling me what rubs you the wrong way. We can talk about this. So this is why I sit there and say, as a man, before you get a list, do your homework on you first.
And in that same vein, doing your home, I got my own list. Doing your homework, I got my own list for me. Like, not the list of what I want, the list of what I need to be.
So
I got my list too.
I find myself often saying to myself, how do I prepare myself for that queen?
Yeah.
Right. And I actually,
which is a valid question.
This is stuff I say, right? Because how do I prepare myself? How am I in this position? Right? Because again, once you understand love is not a feeling, it is a commitment. Right? It is a, when the older folks, now it makes sense to me. I chose you. I get it now.
Yeah.
I chose you, which means I've decided to give myself for you. This is why when God says we are his chosen people, he's saying, no, I can have whatever I want. I want you.
Yeah.
And because I want you, I'm going to commit my life, no pun intended, to you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I sit there and say, you kind of have to get to yourself, have a list for yourself, see what you bring into this table.
Yeah.
Because once you do that, you've earned your seat at the table, and now you can say, I want the big piece of chicken.
Right.
But you want to say something, then you can take us home. But
listen, man, I'm not going to settle for something else up under that list. But what I was going to say too was, with that being said, like we're designing or saying what we want in our own list. Man, this would be tough to say that at the end, but I got to say it. I'm also willing with my list to be with a woman who may not have those things, but she's willing to be open for me to help her accomplish those things. And the reason why I say that, Miles Monroe was one of the people that I follow. He's no longer here.
Sure.
He says that when God created man, he never gave man anything that was completed.
Oh, wow.
So he said, the woman you have in your head, man, you ain't never going to find her. Not that complete one.
Yeah.
You're going to have to help
one.
her become. So with that wisdom at this age, I also know I may not find somebody who's all on there, but some of the notes you saw some of the extra stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Some of those extra notes were somebody who's willing to become that. So willing means you may not be there, but you're open. You're open for me to be able to help you get there.
All right, so this is the last thing I say. So if my list is split in half.
Okay.
Right, because I want you to be ambitious.
Yeah.
But the emotional intelligence, you can't come and be working on this. So there's things.
That's good. See, that's an awareness. That's good.
There's things you can't come into
this.
Yeah.
Some of these,
we can work on
negotiable. This one ain't. Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
Listen,
I'm
like
not here.
I like
one of the famous sayings in my life, I will fight for us, but I won't fight myself to get you to like me. It just ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. So if you got the emotional intelligence, I believe then we can work through things. Spiritual awareness, emotional intelligence. So if you are fighting any type of spirituality, and I'm not Buddhist, but if you're fighting this and not recognizing that your words have power, your alignment affects your mindset and the renewal, if you can't, we will never work, because I work by faith, not by sight. So the things that I do will look crazy to you. Why do you believe this? Because the I am.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because I want it, I see it, and I believe God would. If that sounds crazy, it won't work. Right. And again, conversely, the emotional intelligence, everything else, healthy lifestyle, we can work on that together.
Right. Exactly.
But if you can't see your connection to food and your...
It's non-negotiable.
You know what I mean? So there's certain things are non-negotiable. It's like, you got to come to the table with this. The rest, to your point, it's a part of us building our kingdom together.
Yeah, definitely.
And our skills and what we need will be built together. So I'm with you, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish we saved more time talking about this. But if I was to kind of wrap this up, it really is about, a couple of things. You have to understand what you don't want, but you have to be clear on what you do want and where it's coming from. Yeah. Because remember, we've experienced trauma since childhood, and ultimately your decisions are impacted or influenced, influenced by what you've experienced growing up.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you want a woman that will take care of you, yes, I get it. Why? And what does taking care of look like? If you can't articulate that, there's no way you can teach her how to love you. This is what I'm looking at as men. So when we start thinking about what's significant, you gotta understand why it's significant. How does it show up? Because to your point, you don't come ready-made, she don't come ready-made. Right. So you're gonna have to talk to her. And conversely, if you are at a point of emotional awareness and flexibility and adaptiveness, then she can tell you how to love her.
Oh, definitely.
And our kingdom is being built. You get what I'm saying? That's how I look at it, man.
Listen, great show, man. We could have talked about this some more. This is great information running back. I'll say for me is never against you. So the things you heard us talk about for men and the things that men want doesn't mean that it's against somebody else. It's just us saying the things that we want.
It's a conversation.
Having a conversation, having a great dialogue. My last and final thing I would say on it is know what you want. Know what you want and have the list, because if you don't know what you want and you don't have the list, then you may end up in a situation years down the road and you may be in a situation that you didn't want, but you got there by not knowing what you wanted at the beginning.
And I'm going to add to that. Your thing was know what you want, have it on the list. Know why you want it. Because why you want it today may not be why you want it tomorrow. So you know what I'm saying? So this will tell you, is this a must-have for my list? You get what I'm saying? So know what? Know why, write it down. The Book of a Box says make your vision plain.
That's it, man.
Write it down, and then when the time comes, hopefully you choose wisely and you have the right partner.
Hopefully you do that, and both of you emotionally intelligent, you can continue to build from even where you started. I'm Carlos V. Spencer. This has been a wonderful show. This is my guy,
Coach Rod.
Yes, sir.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to
Let's go.
Let's grow.
Let's get it.
Let's go get it.